from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, 17th July 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The use of illegal high-powered assault weapons was one of the concerns raised by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley at a meeting of the National Security Council convened yesterday after last week's spate of murders. During the talks held with the country's heads of security on Monday, Dr. Rowley also highlighted the need for a more proactive, intelligence-driven, targeted and robust approach, which is focused on those who are known and suspected to be involved in serious crime. Also discussed was the deployment of resources in a coordinated and collaborative manner of sustained joint operations, particularly in areas where there's a known concentration of criminal activity. Monday's meeting was attended by Police Commissioner Earl Harewood Christopher, Deputy Commissioners Junior Benjamin, Natasha George and Suzette Martin, and heads of 10 divisions of the TT Police Service. The Prime Minister reiterated the government's support for the service, in particular the TTPS, in carrying out their duties and responsible in ways they've always done within the legal parameters. Also present was Chief of Defense Staff Air Marshal Daryl Daniel, Acting Commissioner of Prison Carlos Colaspi, and Director of the Strategic Services Agency, Brigadier General Retired Anthony Philip Spencer. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Earl Harewood Christopher also met with the executive of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Social and Welfare Association in what was described as a marathon session yesterday to discuss the plans to reduce crime and what was required of officers. The meeting was reportedly very long and lasted more than 4 hours and took place at the police admin building in Port of Spain. The San Fernando Business Chamber admits incidents of serious crime continues to impact not only the southern borough, but throughout Trinidad and Tobago. President of the Chamber, Kiran Singh, says crime has the potential to influence various aspects of national life, with many concerned about the situation in terms of security and safety. Singh explained there's also a need for the relevant authorities to remain proactive in their approaches and operations to ensure law and order continues and is maintained. The comments made yesterday on the Power Breakfast Show. Health Minister Terence Singh has confirmed 303 cases of dengue nationally, with County Caroni experiencing the highest increase. His comments come as Tabakit MP Anita Haynes Allen complained that dengue cases have risen sharply in her electoral district. Appealing to the central government for immediate help to tackle the growing public health crisis in her constituency, Haynes Allen said, quote, "Mosquito problem has skyrocketed. It's worrying, especially so early in the rainy season," she added. Her office and local regional council are flooded with requests for mosquito spraying, and they're hearing about more and more cases of dengue affecting family and neighborhoods. She said Tabakit seems to be one of the hardest hit areas, despite efforts of the Couva Tabakit Talparo Regional Corporation to spray for mosquitoes. Haynes Allen said there were challenges due to limited resources from central government. Over 100 housing subsidies have been distributed for Tobago in 2024. 105 disbursements have been issued for Tobago, including 68 home improvement subsidies and 37 home construction subsidies, with $3.19 million, $1.85 million for home construction subsidies, and $1.36 million for home improvement subsidies. The distribution of funds was described as sowing seeds of empowerment. These remarks from Housing and Urban Development Minister Camille Robinson-Regis. In news of the region, Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis says he's supporting a collection of bills to legalize the use of cannabis for medicinal and religious purposes and to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of cannabis. Speaking in the Bahamas Parliament this week, Davis said he was also supporting measures to regulate the cultivation, sale and use of cannabis and related products within the borders of the country and to promote health and safety of the people. And finally, one by one, Donald Trump's defeated rivals for the 2024 Republican nomination took the stage to sing his praises at the party's convention on Tuesday night. From his box from the convention floor, Trump smiled at times as he watched his former opponents Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Vivek Ramaswamy voice their full support for his candidacy. If there are any doubts about Trump's party, Tuesday's programming put them all to rest. Haley said she'd been asked to speak at the event in Milwaukee in the name of unity. She told the crowd, "For the sake of our nation, we have to go with Donald Trump." Ms. Haley said in May she would vote for the former president But her headline speech on Tuesday was the most direct endorsement of the Republican nominee yet. And when she declared her endorsement, Trump stood and applauded. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Neighbors on this Hump Day Wednesday, the 17th day of July. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital, with studios at 88 to 90 Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain, Trinidad, Richard Friends, Planet Earth. How you doing? Yes, it is Hump Day. 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 28 at Crown Point in Tobago. Yeah, it's warm across there. Would you believe? Let's see if the Met Office has updated their weather forecast for today. It had some flooding in Union Village. They had some heavy rain overnight. Nope, they have not updated their weather. So when that's updated, I'll give it to you. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, buddy. Of course, Paul Richards, Richard Ragoobarsingh, Wendell Stephen. Of course, we got Shane and Ruben in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Card. We'll keep you company this morning. Take your calls, read your messages. Of course, you'll answer our poll as well. Of course, we have a lineup of guests already for the morning. Yeah. How was your evening? Good? Had a good one?
Slept.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. I got
A lot.
I got 5.5 hours of sleep last night. 5.5. So if I fall asleep on this,
What?
if I fall asleep on the show, don't wake me up. Let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning. Let's check those on YouTube and on Facebook. Got a lot of messages already. Let's move my monitor around. Let's see. We got Boy Bedesi and Debe. Boy, let me tell you something, boy. You have not dropped off any doubles for me. Big guy flew in from New York and brought doubles for me yesterday. He did, boy. He did. And you ride down the road, boy. You tell them put plenty pepper. It was like none. Very, very slight. Anyway, Wendy and James, good morning. DJ Ray out in Delaware, good morning. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, good morning to you. Wayne Bennett in Covington, Georgia. Got Celia out in Valencia. Maria Celia. Slick Money Grip. D. Pierre, good morning. CJ New York. Alistair Hart. Olivia Rose out in Tumpuna Road. Good morning to you. David Wares and, of course, Mrs. Wares. How you doing? Biznath Prasad. Carol Guevara out in Sugarguanas. John Cato, Gloria Gray, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona. Cynthia Aaron. DL, good morning. Stevie Knight, my very, 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 can I say, very enough, very good friend out in Toronto, Ontario. He's one of those that you have a friend that they call on your hand. Morning to you, Stevie. Rena Boodoo Jennings, Randy Kelly, Joycelyn Dial-Singh, Angela Collier-Lewis. This Slick Money Grip. The spring has begun this morning in the Port of Spain area. Okay. Oliver Man Warren, Patricia Dufour. Good morning to you all. Let's see. Look at WhatsApps. Wow. Whoa. All right. Let us start. Somebody sent a voice note. Can't play that. Oliver Man Warren, G&Z Auto Security. Captain Ron, who's at home in Orlando. Michael out in London. Dan Raj, hope all is well. Let's see.
Good morning, Wendell.
Big E
Morning,
in
gentlemen.
Virginia. Vincent, good morning to you. And of course, Sankofa. Yes, Wendell, morning.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Paul. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers. You know, some of the names you call in on from the live stream, you also call on WhatsApp. You know
Yes,
some
some
of the
do.
names.
Like Val. Val is WhatsApp only. Morning, Val.
Anyway, good morning. Happy to be in the land of the living. Happy birthday to Renee Cummins.
Oh, yes.
She's celebrating her birthday today. Yolanda Marcel.
Birthday ready.
Nigel Lemont, my friend who lives out there in Atlanta. Salian Samaru, Maurice Robinson, they're all celebrating birthdays today. Belated birthday greetings to Miss Tudor, who is the mother of Stephen Harper. She celebrated her birthday yesterday, visited Rumbox for the very first time yesterday. Morning, Miss Tudor, and happy birthday. And happy early anniversary to Harper, to Stephen and Rosalind. They're celebrating their umpteenth anniversary tomorrow. They've been together like since childhood. So happy early anniversary.
I wouldn't necessarily say childhood.
I say it because I think they've been together so long, you know, and naturally I'm exaggerating, you know, but they've been together for ages, you know, and they're celebrating their anniversary tomorrow. Hence the reason why I have to work Rumbox all week again. But I'm so happy for him.
Oh.
You know. Yep, that's it. Those are my greetings today. Anybody else who deserves special greetings, you know who you are. I have to call your names.
A message being sent out.
Happy birthday to my dear brother Hayden. All right, somebody, Maria Celia is saying happy birthday to her brother Hayden. Today is July, 17th?
Correct is right.
Yep, and it's also the last day of Hosay in St. James, just in case you didn't know Hosay is taking place. Today is the last day. So today is the day that Hosay comes out during the day. So if you're in the Port of Spain area and St. James area, you just know, well, not Port of Spain, but St. James area, and that will be St. Clair area. You know there are going to be traffic restrictions, so please be mindful. The traffic is going to be terrible later on in the afternoon, especially. When the Hosay returns to their yard. So just know that there are going to be traffic restrictions. Pack up your car and come and witness, come and see what it's like. If you've never seen it before, it's a beautiful thing to look at, you know, and the drumming is absolutely infectious.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so come out and participate, see what the Shiite Muslims celebrate in, where they commemorate, I shouldn't say celebrate, what they commemorate in St. James, you know. Come out and witness it. The structures are beautiful to look at, you know. So,
what do they do with the structures after?
Well, 2 days later, they destroy them.
Right. They take them to the sea to burn them?
Well, they don't burn, but they take them. I think because of all these pollution issues and all these manner of things now, they have to be mindful of that. Long time they actually used to roll the structure down to the sea and destroy it there and let the remains go to the sea, take it away. But of course, because of all the issues surrounding that, you know, they can't do that anymore. So in a large measure, they remove the bigger parts, you know, in the yards, and then I don't know if the sea part of it comes in anymore. I'm not sure. I haven't done it for a little while. But it's destroyed one way or the other. One way or the other. Yeah. It's called Tijade. That happens 2 days after.
What's it called?
Tijade.
Tijade. Okay. Yeah. So that'd be that'd be like Friday.
Friday. Yep.
Okay.
You know. But come, you might see me take a little drum later today.
You always drum. Every year you drum.
You'll certainly see Councillor Biznat and Councillor Imran Khan. They are part of the Hosay. For years, they grew up in it, you know. And I might, you never know.
So when you close Rumbox, you're taking part in Hosay.
What's that?
When you close Rumbox, you're taking
I'll close up. By the time I close up, Hosay now coming back into the streets of St. James. So. But it's a good thing to witness and to understand that part of the Muslim tradition. Not all Muslims do it because it's a Shiite Muslim. You know, they have Shiite Muslims and Sunni Muslims. But it's the Shiite Muslims who do it, and not all Shiites do it either. So
it's later on this morning we're having Dr. Tiwari and also the president of the Tunapuna Business Chamber, Ramon Gregorio. And I actually was looking for who was the head of the Tunapuna Business Chamber. And when I heard it was Ramon, a lot of things made sense because I worked with Ramon years ago. He runs a company called Lucent Research, and they helped us at Media House years ago put together some technological support for an election coverage. So now it makes sense why the Tunapuna Business Chamber was so successful in working with the police and linking CCTV cameras, because he's very good at tech and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which was surprising yesterday to hear Singh, the president of the San Fernando Chamber, say that they have not, well, he didn't say they didn't make much progress, but I gleaned they didn't make much progress because of bureaucracy and issues, which I just don't understand, because I remember when that announcement was made, I think the Prime Minister also commented on it. And the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police, that the Tunapuna project, which was so successful in terms of the business community working with the police, that was going to be rolled out in several other divisions.
yes,
They also told the Joint Select Committee National Security that. So when I heard that, yes, I said, but how hard it could be for one divisional head and another divisional head to sit down with the heads of two chambers and say, well, this is what we did, this is how we did it, this is how you can do it. How?
Yeah, that can. I can't see that being difficult either, Paul. But I also heard Mr. Kiran Singh. Is Kiran Singh? Intimate yesterday that San Fernando do have a problem with unscrupulous businessmen. I'm using my words. And I said, that is other places have the problem. I said, what? What is madness is this I heard?
When I asked him how you know that, he quickly backtracked. He said that I know of. So it's only Central and North have corrupt businessmen.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. It can't have, listen carefully. Right? Listen. You listen. It can't have corrupt customs officers if you don't have corrupt businessmen.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
The corrupt customs officers, and I'm not saying all of them are corrupt. I'm saying there are corrupt customs officers, are not working for other customs officers to let in illegal contraband, including illegal guns.
Right.
They're working for corrupt businessmen. Or they're working with corrupt businessmen. I mean, not say for.
They are. And I want to support the point you're making too about the gang members and so on, so-called criminal gang members who are being killed over the years.
Yeah, so-called, a lot of them criminal.
In the hundreds, right? Well, I using parentheses, because we going by what the TTPS would tell us or what the media would tell us at the end of the day, that these were so-called gang killings, right?
Some of them identify themselves as gang members already, so they're gang members.
Right. So, but they are being killed off in the hundreds, right?
We're replacing them by 300 every year.
They're being replaced.
Yes.
Do we realize that? For the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah, but guess what? We know for a fact that we have state agencies that are compromised. Whether it be the Army, the TTPS, the Customs, and so on. Where are these people? Because they're not being killed off. They're not even being arrested in some cases. Where are they? They're still there,
Facts.
They're still there.
All the
we have a problem,
Follow the money. And the legislation will follow the money.
We have a problem because those people.
Like legislation need a torchlight. Because they can't find the money at all.
Yeah. And you just wonder
Apparently when they do the corruption, they is put the money under the mattress. They don't put it in no bank.
Well, clearly all these agencies protecting one another. They have people protecting one another in these agencies, because when I listened to the San Fernando chamber head yesterday, that's another ostrich situation. You're burying your head in the sand because you don't want to talk about your own fellow businessmen. You understand? That's what's going on.
Some of whom are very corrupt.
Yes. Yes. But you don't want to say that. Say it. It's true. We know that. Because I don't know a customs officer. Where else a customs officer could ever become corrupt? How else can he or she ever become corrupt?
Wendell and Steve and audience. The other part of this that we don't want to talk about in this country is if I go to the bank with more than $10,000 to deposit, I have to sign a source of funds.
Yes.
And legitimize where I get this $10,000 from.
Mm-hmm.
Worst yet, if I go with $200,000. Not so?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And even if I go with a check, that is, will you get this check for?
Yes, you have to do source of funds for checks too,
Where you get this check for? Where you get this money for?
Yes.
So how the follow the money and the bank and the authorities to be able to say, well, you only bring in, I'm going to say something that I get in so much trouble. You only bring in, let me see what is the most innocuous thing I could say. I don't want to implicate nobody. You bring in 100,000 tambourine bowl. Right? At a cost of $1 per tambourine bowl. But you're depositing $5 million. Make it make sense.
Yeah. And your tambourine ball still in the shop.
Nobody buy it. No, you buy 5 tambourine balls. You sell 5 out of the 100,000. And you declare you sell 10. Or you just being pretending to be stupid now. It has several different agencies coming together to create all this bacchanal.
Yeah.
And like it has some people and agencies and institutions in this country who everybody afraid to touch.
Yep.
Yep.
We need a Robert McCall. A few well.
Who is Robert McCall?
You ever watch the movie with Denzel Washington, Equalizer?
No.
That's what we need.
I'm going to be very careful and tell you, we don't need that.
Yeah. 10,000 is cash. 35, I think, is in checks.
Finbar, you get through. If you could deposit 10,000, that will ask you for source of funds. Good for you.
Carry as much as 35 and they ain't asking nothing.
Good for you. You get through. If you could deposit 10,000 and you'll get there's going back 1 second, please, sir, and come back out to the form for you.
Yeah.
Okay. This has happened to me.
While you wait and the people sitting down or standing nearby, hey, this man taking out real money.
And even if you send the check, even if you deposit the check in fast deposit, they send back and they call you, When they're clearing that thing, they call you, If you don't declare, if they don't see a clear, like if it doesn't come from a state agency.
Just being the fool in this, in this country.
You.
Anyway, there was I think a specially convened meeting when we have been the normal weekly meeting of the National Security Council on Monday. Chaired by the Prime Minister, which included the Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioners Junior Benjamin, Natasha George Suzette Martin, heads of 10 divisions, the
10 divisions,
Chief of Defense Staff, Air Vice Marshal Daryl Daniel, Acting Commissioner of Prisons Carlos Codaspi, is it Codaspi or Codasp? And the Acting Director of the Strategic Services Agency, retired Brigadier General Anthony Phillips Spencer.
What, they had a meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, between Friday and Monday, 18 people there. You know.
Mm.
And of course, coming out of that meeting, they were advised that there should be a coordinated and collaborative manner of sustained joint operations, particularly in areas where there's a known concentration of criminal activity, and that the government supports the services, in particular the TTPS, in carrying out their duties and responsibilities, provided they are done within the legal parameters.
That is not...
How that different to last week?
That is not intelligence driven. Having a police presence with a set of police all over the place with Army and Coast Guard and wherever, is a presence is not going to fix this situation. We've done it many times before. It has to be intelligence driven. Go and read Rennie Cummins celebrating her birthday today. Maybe I'm sorry we couldn't call her because she put out a post up.
How is the information coming out of that meeting different to last month?
That's what I said.
Or 2 weeks ago? How?
We're going on just anyway.
Following that meeting, well, on yesterday, Tuesday, the Commissioner of Police had a meeting with the executive of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Social and Welfare Association, SP Gideon Dixon, who described this as cordial, and said she implored the assistance of the association to encourage officers to give more than they've been giving.
I ain't talking police today now.
We should. Let's move on.
Yeah, I ain't feeling to talk police today.
Let's move on. Health Minister Terence Singh says there are 303 confirmed cases of dengue nationally. Wow. With County Caroni experiencing the highest increase. Tabaquite FP Anita Haynes.
Bush and
We'll
River.
be talking to the acting director of CAFA tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Which is the Caribbean Public Health Agency. See, I've been working.
Yeah, good. Well done.
Dr. Lisa Indar, the ad interim executive director of CAFA, about dengue in the Caribbean and how we're faring with the rest of the region, because some other islands were experiencing dengue outbreaks also at some level. She'll be talking to her tomorrow, and what we can all do to contribute to keeping ourselves safe as a country. But Anita Haynes Allen says that she's getting more and more reports every day about people being affected with dengue she's Tabaquite anyway.
Yeah, she's
and it seems that Tabaquite is one of the hardest hit areas, according to her, despite the efforts of the Couva Tabaquite Talpara Regional Corporation, who've been spraying for mosquitoes. But she said there were challenges due to limited resources from the central government. What I want to know, correct me if I'm wrong, because Wendell, you are more poised to answer this than I am. Do you get a sense, and I could be very wrong, I know prep the junkies and some of the junkies in the chat, because you just jump out yourself. But I get a sense that something is really amiss in local government.
Amiss? You're being generous.
No, it seems to be cascading. It don't seem like everything right in local government.
Simply because, Paul, Steve, listeners, local government is under-resourced, understaffed. Nobody's really seriously interested. We have a minister who... We've had ministers who just, I don't know, just talking.
Well, I've always said that when you look at the budget allocations and you come down the line, if the budget allocations are an indication, and they are at some level, of the prioritization of the limited funding available to the government.
Mm-hmm.
So it usually starts with either education or national security, right?
Yes.
For the last 3 or so years, it was education. National security.
And health.
Health.
Mm-hmm.
And then down the line.
Yes.
Usually, down in the NS, agriculture and local government.
And local government. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And of local government, about 80% is administrative cost recurrent.
Yes, most are going to recurrent expenditure.
So what does that tell you about the focus on local government by the state?
There's been none, which is why, Paul and gentlemen, I supported local government reform, because I was very hopeful because of what I was hearing in terms of how the funds would be used from property tax and all these different issues for local government. I was very hopeful, but it was a hoax. That's what it was.
How dare you?
No, it was a
How
hoax.
dare you? Why would you say something like that? That's terrible.
And then we put people in charge of corporations who have no right running a parlor.
When you say we put them there, isn't it a voting process?
No, to become a mayor or chairman? Oh, hell no. You know,
I just get the sense
if it was a voting process, I would have been the mayor
from their
the last 50
responsibilities
years.
with stray animals to, I just think, and yes, you're right, it's always been an area that's been lacking funding and focus. But I guess you're right. There was a lot of hullabaloo and the whole campaign by the government leading up to local government elections. Is it last year?
Yes.
About reform.
I get
And
upset.
when we had the honor of speaking to the Prime Minister in an interview coming up to the end of last year, and the question was asked of the Prime Minister, when are the other aspects of the local government, the reform law, which was passed, going to be operationalized? He told us early 2024.
Yes.
Well, I don't feel July can be called early anymore. And we have not heard anything. We see a lot of muscle flexing, a lot of bicep flexing. You understand? And grands are fame. But the people who offered themselves for the service did so, I'm presuming, in many cases, under the predicate that it was going to be in an almost professionalized position.
Yes.
At some level, with a different remuneration package, so
Correct.
that they don't have to be part-time and they can offer greater services and more efficiency to the burgesses and revolutionize local government and put more accountability in the corporations and reconcile the anomalies between the CEO and the chairman and the mayor.
Let me tell you something. I feel sorry for a lot of the people who get involved in local government, you know. I really feel sorry for them, you know. And people ask me, Wendell, how you do that for 21 years? Well, I did it with a lot of prayers and a lot of patience. You understand? But in the end there, I really felt hopeful and I really said, this is going to change. This is going to happen. And then it was a hoax. Because we have people who gave up a lot to get involved in local government because of exactly what you just said, Paul.
There were promises of reform, and it's going to be, you're going to get this money and more, because the money is basically a stipend as it stands, and the structure is going to be changed. And I sat on the JSC with the thing about TICSO, you know. And they were told this is extremely voluminous. The intention is wide sweeping, and there should be a strategic plan to phase this in a structured manner to avoid as much disruption as possible. This came up over and over and over. Yet,
I remember making a special plea when the Salaries Review
we
Commission
should open the phones.
report came out recently that at least give the local government people their increase. No, nothing happened. You understand? They're being, and everybody calls on a local government councillor. I stopped being a councillor since 2016 because in that last
I'm not going to go as far
Mm.
as you did and say it's a hoax, but I will say that the scenario
it looks like you find it looks
that
like
was promised needs to be operationalized. It is unconscionable that almost a year after, when was the local government last year?
it was October 20
Yeah, and we're
September
heading to October again. That
September 2023.
little or nothing has been done in terms of operationalizing those laws or giving people the sense that they are moving toward that.
Exactly.
Watch.
Some people on the chat are saying property tax is holding back local government reform. No, it is not, because local government reform has been in discussion long before property tax was. So
True.
Don't tell me property tax is what is holding it back. I've been in local government since 1999, and we're talking local government reform. Property tax wasn't even an issue.
Shall we open the phones?
We shall. You know the numbers. 222-8255.
If they're seeing changes in their local government regime or their new councillors are getting the resources they need to service them properly. I know Zena getting her service properly. Good morning, Zena.
Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, Richard, Wendell.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
I hear you all talking about corruption this morning. Last night I was reading an article concerning Wasa. A whistleblower in Wasa revealed some information, and somebody telling a judge she will end up like Dina Sita.
What?
Wait about that. You read it?
No, I didn't read it.
No, I didn't read that.
Read it. Read the article about overtime, about people getting employed and all. One long article.
Yeah, I breezed through that, and that was some overtime corruption at Wasa.
All kind of corruption.
Yeah.
And when they decided about investigating some judge trying to make some decision, they tell the judge she will end up like they not it out. Where in this country, why?
I see someone
Thanks,
posted.
Patrick.
A major obstacle has been the lack of cooperation from the opposition to meet and effect the operationalization of the process. As I understand it, the PNM has, is it 7 corporations, Wendell?
7, yeah.
So I'm to them giving trouble too.
Good morning.
I see no kind of excuse there, and I just
Good morning.
One set of excuses. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning. You know, this issue, in terms of the fucking of fumigating for mosquitoes, it is a very easy fix, you know. All the line minister has to do is convene a meeting with each corporation. All the corporations, you have them present there, and you tell them, here what, all your unspent balances, give us an amount, and we are going to release funds for a specific amount in terms of which.
Can I put a pin there, sir?
Mm-hmm.
You sure they know what the unspent balances is?
Well,
clearly don't understand how some of them corporations operate.
Yeah. I know from last time when there was an issue between the Shogunas Borough Corporation and the minister back then, he was able to stay where he is in the office and tell the Shogunas Borough Corporation how much money you have unspent. So if he can tell the then mayor, who is current mayor as well, Faik Mohammed, how much money the Shogunas Corporation have unspent, he should be able to tell each corporation how much money you have unspent. And you utilize what has to happen here now is that the mayor has to write to the line minister as an emergency, writing an emergency in terms of trying to release funds from the unspent balance to be utilized in a specific area. under the Local Government Act, the minister have the power in terms of unspent money, how he allocates it, how to be spent. So I don't see what is the issue here.
And then you need the flexi muscles.
Caller.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the decision lies with the Minister of Finance, not the Minister of Local Government. The Minister of Local Government is just the conduit. The decisions will stay. And if the Minister of Finance don't feel he have money for that, then you ain't gonna get it. That's what's gonna happen.
In a case like this here, where we have dengue cases rising, I think the Minister of Finance would find it plausible, Wendell, to make funds available for such. What I find interesting, I want to point out, because I don't know if you all watched the Ministry of Health press conference last week. According to the guy who is in charge of Insect Vector Control, the Division in Ministry of Health, he says that once there is a suspected case in a specific area, then they are utilizing the fucking machine. It's not trying to be nonsensical.
Oh my God. So you had to get bite first.
You
had to get bite.
You had to get bite before the spray. Okay.
You know what I find amazing about this? Every year, this time of the year comes around, every year. This time of the year comes around. After the dry season, the rainy season comes, we have an infestation of mosquitoes and flies and you name it, because it coincides with the mango season too. Every year it happens. Every year.
You're right.
And I want to point out something to you. You know, if we were to contract out this through the Procurement Act, and you give those companies who eradicate insects, people will be up in arms. But you have a corporation which should be run prudent by the manager of the corporation. And yet you see every year we come around with this reprobating is to continue over and over. If I were in charge, I'm telling you, Wendell, if I were in charge, I would have already written to the minister, because I know how much money I have unspent, and asked for funds to be released in terms of having spraying taking place throughout the different areas. Before I go quickly, the
same minister know this time of the year coming wrong too, You think he don't know?
Yeah, he knows.
He knows. He could probably have a little slight amnesia coming in, or dementia, whichever one caused him to forget. Regarding that meeting, I don't know if that meeting could be summed up as a papi show meeting, because I want to agree with Dr. Paul. What was discussed yesterday that wasn't discussed last month or the following month in terms of regarding the issue of crime? Moreover, you went in Tobago. Isn't it that one would assume that the strategies that you want to implement in Tobago, if some of them want to be effective, you might want to implement them here as well? I just don't understand. Every time that there's we have killings that are heading into the numbers over the weekend, we always convene a meeting, and I have to agree with you, Wendell. I don't think that we are getting results. I don't know. Have a good morning.
Take care, man.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
I want to deduce that Kadim can.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Wendell, you gained so much more points with me this morning.
For my honesty?
I have this. Huh? Yes.
I always honest, I always speak it like it is.
You are the greatest defender of the PNM, but when they do wrong or when they're not living up to their word, you can come out and say that. And I want to tell you, I respect that. Right? I want to remind you, Wendell, you said something there that struck a nerve with me. I want to remind you, when they found the guns in the ceiling of the St. George, first it was the St. James police station, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, when they found the guns in the ceiling of the St. Joseph police station, all them police, MTS are paid, And what they did? They transferred the problem around, right? The soldier that was alleged to be involved in the Pennywise heist, you know who he is today? Back on the job. He's not even on suspension. Back on the job. I said that to reinforce what you all said this morning of the corrupt people in government services still on the work.
Yep.
They may get suspended, they may get sent home, they're still on the job. The corrupt people still there getting a government salary when the month come. Right?
Except San Fernando.
Apparently except San Fernando. I raised this topic on the morning show on Saturday. I'm glad to hear that you all raised this topic of the non-fulfillment of the promise to deliver on government reform, especially to deal with the salary of the councillors and the offices they were supposed to get and the permanent position they were supposed to get. I raised this issue this week, last Saturday, going there, right? And John Benoit also agreed with me, who is a staunch PNME, both says that he's a PNME, also agreed with my stance on it. So I'm glad to hear you are raising the issue this morning. Right?
All right, Lincoln.
I'll leave it there this morning. Have a great day, gentlemen.
All right, have a good
You know, morning, Richard. My
I would have
party.
never known. Good
My,
morning.
let me tell you something.
Morning.
My party, the People's National Movement, my government, they've never been good at local government. The only time I had hope in local government was when Mrs. Hazel Manning was local government minister. We have a bad track record with local government. And as a matter of fact, and I said it before, and I'm going to say it again this morning, the changes in local government came under Carlos John and then under the People's Partnership with who was the local government minister? Chandra Sharma. That's when changes came. That's when councillors were given an increase. That's when councillors were given an office. That's when councillors were given a staff, somebody, an administrative assistant with a stipend. Those are when the changes took place. That is the reality. Those are facts. Those are facts.
What are you saying, Wendell?
What I'm saying is the truth.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
But my party and my government have a bad track record with local government. Terrible.
Ragoobarsingh, do you have newspapers?
Yes, I do, actually.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. They say they don't care about local government, really.
I ain't saying they don't care, but I'm giving you the facts. Because when under Carlos John, we got an increase. So much, I get a back pay. First time I see I get a back pay, right? And then the next time it happened was when the People's Partnership came into power. That's when they sweep local government too in 2010, right? 2 months after general elections, they swept the local government. They immediately gave councillors an office. They gave them a staff, an administrative assistant, $3,000 a month. The office was $2,500 a month and $1,000 extra for stationery. That is a fact. Nothing else has happened in local government since.
Of course I can. The Newsday. Let me start with the Newsday. Of course, today is Wednesday, July 17th. And on the front page of the Newsday today, PM's friend sues state after charges. Cops out to cripple me. That's the main headline on the Newsday. Cop wins ammo import case. That's a sub-headline. And the main picture is that of Joyful Traditions. Village women dance with their, what is this? With their washing on their heads for the Tobago Heritage Festival, which apparently is on. So that's the front page of the Newsday. And on the back page of the Newsday, TT Under-21's netball manager Ford, World Youth Cup is a different ball game. That's the headline on the back page of the Newsday. Mohammed back for third season with TKR Woman. That's a sub-headline, and the main picture is some cycling event. I'm not so sure which cycling event it is. Daily Express for today, front page. Tax boss charged. BIR Assistant Commissioner faces 20 charges of fraud, tax evasion, and money laundering. That's the main headline on the Express. Religious leader calls for curfew. That's a sub-headline. And on the back page of the Daily Express, Jareem Golden in Lucerne. That's basically it for the front and the back of the Daily Express. And on to the Guardian today. What's the front page of the Guardian? I'm about to tell you. Full force of the law. PM reports on high-level anti-crime talks. Full force of the law says security forces will target hotspots in coordinated response.
But it wasn't doing that last week.
WASA to pay $3 million for leak that damaged house. That's a sub-headline.
It wasn't coordinated last week.
And case, I'm reading the headlines. Have your opinions after I'm finished, please.
They're going to get committed now.
List against man held for illegal babash.
Oh, God, I able, huh?
He got October 24th too, you know. He could buff, you know. Don't forget.
And on the back page of the Guardian, TTFA
That's the twin.
loses
You see both of them head ball?
case. And
It's twins, you know.
Philippines wins 16th stage of Tour de France. Oh, it's Tour de France that I was watching. Okay. So that's the back page of the Guardian. And that's it for the 3 dailies this morning.
All righty, let's get the results of our morning poll where we asked you yesterday. Do you share the sentiments expressed by the chambers of commerce of lost confidence in the strategies of the TTPS to reduce violent crime in Trinidad and Tobago? That was our poll yesterday. Results are in. 71%, 71 said yes.
Hey, Wassa, is not an unfortunate situation with Wassa that the man appointed to head come as CEO passed away, right?
Yeah.
Is that crazy? Yeah? I read that and I said, did that really happen? Or that's some bogus story?
No, it really happened.
Wow.
Anyway, let's get into this morning's poll. I can hear Paul typing away. One finger typing. Works for him.
I could give you another one finger in it, but I'll be not
It's
kind of
Oh, Lord, spare us, please.
It's okay.
Right. So my suggested question, since nobody has been putting up no poll this morning.
I'm tired.
And Richard probably have a headache.
Yes.
Based on the suggestion by, I think, a religious leader that Richard read in the Express, which I read this morning also, who is saying that we should have states of emergency in specific areas. I don't think our laws accommodate for that presently.
No.
Should our laws be changed to be able to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas in TNT?
Yeah, that's a good question.
All right, let's roll with that.
A strong poll.
All right, let's get lots of calls on this one.
You can take out
222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099, and on WhatsApp at 318-101.
You can take out you like long thing.
You like to cross talk a lot. You know that, right?
I can't help it if God bless me.
318-1021. That's
you like the stretch out thing, Richard?
Yeah. It's kind of a disease for people who tote.
All right, let's see if we get any votes here. Should our laws be changed to enact limited states of emergency? And you pull it down.
Okay, interesting.
In specific areas in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. Good morning to you, Marcia Rock. Boy Bedesi says yes. Hector, yes. Cheryl Henry, yes. Kenny in Harlem, yes. Keith Besessa, yes. Let's see if I
really like that poll, Gil.
On WhatsApp, put your name towards it, please.
So when that's short in the poll.
Yeah. Captain Ron says yes. Somebody else here. Who's this? Kazim Mohammed says yes.
Go back from Wayne Bennett.
Ken Wayne, Team Customs, Captain.
You're maybe legislators here, you know, maybe changing the status quo and you don't know, you know.
All right. Wayne Bennett says yes.
That, you know that.
CJ New York says yes. Gregory Bauer, yes. Rena Boodoo Jennings, yes. Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, absolutely yes. Ish out in Malik, yes. Jess Archer Kennedy, yes. Marjorie.
You're going to use this tonight, right? You all know that, right?
Yes, they will.
DL says yes. Evans David, yes. Julia S. Batiste, yes. Slick Money Grip, yes. 222-8255, North Americans, toll free. 866-525-1099 on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Slick Money Grip says yes.
The other
It's
morning
just-
show does put you to sleep too. They're going to use it too.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Yes.
Thank you.
I was very excited, yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Val says yes.
You play
Lorna,
done, eh?
morning, Lorna. Indy, Kali, yes.
Yes, not. You play done.
Black Pearl says no. Mrs. R says yes.
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere today's Morgan's birthday. Happy birthday, Morgan's.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, cake and ice cream. Cake and ice cream. CPT Singh says hell no. Sherwin Ku says yes. Fredo says yes to the poll. Okay. All right. CPT, sure. Right. Should our laws be changed to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas in Trinidad and Tobago? Yes or no? Good morning, Paul.
Paul. This morning.
Good morning, New Jersey. Yes.
All right, Jay-Z, thank you. Patricia McLean says yes. Cynthia Aaron says no.
I like Cynthia answer.
But can you read it? Because
she says by the time, where is Cynthia going? All right. By the time they change the laws, everybody dead. No.
Now we got child marriage and marijuana laws changed from this power breakfast show, from this position here.
True. Sunil Ram Samaru says yes.
Yes, we champion those causes, Paul. Don't look at marijuana, the child marriage and marijuana.
Anderson says yes. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Darling.
Good morning, ma'am.
And my dear, mi amor, listener, that poll should have linked a little more. And after all what
We
was
heard
said
that is his
before,
problem. Oh, sorry, did I say it out loud?
it should link a little more, apart from the laws changing and lockdown and surge. Right.
All
I
right.
say yes.
We knew that
I love
already.
it.
Yeah, people. When there is a state of emergency, many of the
you.
the protections are suspended. You know, they don't need
Yeah.
warrants to search houses and things.
No.
Yeah, they don't need it.
Yeah.
Anderson says yes. Catherine Henry says yes. Alistair Hart, yes. Lester Craigwell says no. Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago says yes. Someone else says no to the poll. Oh yeah, Mogain says, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks a million for the birthday greetings. And good morning to his beautiful wife. And hell yes to the poll, Mogain. Lenny James, definitely. All right, you have a couple of seconds again, less than a minute, to vote on should all laws be changed to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas in TNT. All right. Kadeem Khan Jr., no. Central Animal Love, you didn't vote.
So our poll, should our laws be changed to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas in Trinidad and Tobago? That's our poll today.
Pauline Buckmeyer says yes. Ambrose Blunt, you want to vote?
Yeah, Ambrose, you're trying your best. You're trying your best.
Just vote yes or no. We're not reading no long message.
What I said was the truth. So don't deny it.
Right.
I mean,
Wayne Joseph from Ontario, Canada says yes. Vianney Warwood says no. Lennon Roberts says no. Central Animal Lover says no to the poll.
So what happened to these 7 P&M control corporations? They can't change that in there.
You all proud of yourselves? I'm trying to get a walk with CNN, and this is what they're watching.
You can go Fox.
All right. Good one, Rich. All right. News is coming up. You can vote on our poll via our website at power102fm.com, or you can go to our mobile app on any platform. Just look for Power 102 Trinidad. All right. Any more votes coming through? Nothing new.
You checked WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Lots of votes this morning, though.
Yeah. Lester Craigwell says, I would like to hear Richard's view.
On
all right.
Local government or the poll?
I suppose the poll.
Because Richard have the most futuristic mayor there is, you know.
Stop
All
being
set and ready for local government.
Not people like you, Wendell.
Everybody likes me still at the end of the day, you know. Oh gosh. The people don't like honesty, they don't like the truth. That's the problem. They go always get that from me though, regardless.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Prime Minister laments the use of high-powered assault weapons. The police commissioner meets with the Police Welfare Association to discuss plans to reduce crime. South Business Chamber warns the impact of crime is far-reaching, and the health minister says there are 303 confirmed dengue cases nationally. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. The use of illegal high-powered assault weapons was one of the concerns raised by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley at a meeting of the National Security Council convened after last weekend's spate of murders. During the talks held with the country's heads of security on Monday evening, Dr. Rowley also highlighted the need for a more proactive, intelligence-driven, targeted and robust approach, which is focused on those who are known and suspected to be involved in serious criminality, according to a release on the meeting from the Office of the Prime Minister. Also discussed was the deployment of resources in a coordinated and collaborative manner of sustained joint operations, particularly in areas where there is a known concentration of criminal activity. Monday's meeting was attended by Police Commissioner Earle Harewood Christopher, Deputy Police Commissioners Junior Benjamin, Natasha George, Suzette Martin, and the heads of 10 divisions of the TNT Police Service. The Prime Minister reiterated the government's support of the services, in particular the TTPS, in carrying out their duties and responsibilities, provided that they are always done within the legal parameters. Also present was Chief of Defense Staff Air Vice Marshal Darrell Daniel, Acting Commissioner of Prisons Carlos Carraps, and Director of the Strategic Services Agency, Brigadier General Retired Anthony Philip Spencer. Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Earle Harewood Christopher also met with the executive of the TNT Police Service Social and Welfare Association in a marathon session yesterday to discuss the plan to reduce crime and what is required from police officers. The meeting, which reportedly lasted more than 4 hours, took place at the Police Administration Building in Port of Spain. Association President ASP Gideon Dixon said it was a cordial meeting. The Commissioner of Police dismissed claims that the meeting was called to address last weekend's record number of murders. In a brief interview at the end of the meeting, as she sat surrounded by members of the TTPS and the TTPSSWA executive teams, Harewood Christopher said she was aware that a lot was being asked of the officers. Harewood Christopher said that they had implored the assistance of the association to encourage officers to give even more than they have been giving. The San Fernando Business Chamber admits incidents of serious crime continues to impact not only the southern borough, but throughout Trinidad and Tobago. President of the chamber, Kiran Singh, says crime has the potential to influence various aspects of national life, with many concerned about the situation in terms of security and safety. Singh explains there is a need for the relevant authorities to remain proactive in their approach and operation to ensure law and order continues to be maintained. He's of the view there is a link between crime and business and investor confidence, adding TTPS can continue to do its work. The comments were made during Tuesday's interview on the Power Breakfast program.
Whenever there's an increase in crime, especially serious crime, there's a decrease in business confidence, investor confidence, not only in South Trinidad, but in the country, and I'm sure regionally and internationally. We would see that happening. But it takes some time, of course. People take a little time to react in a physical way. But I don't think that is reason for the TTPS to think that the crime will go away, and they just need to be more proactive.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Health Minister Terence Yalsing says there are 303 confirmed dengue cases nationally, with the county currently experiencing the highest increase. His comments come as Tabakit MP Anita Haynes-Allen complained that dengue cases had risen sharply in her electoral region. She appealed to the central government for immediate help to tackle the growing health crisis in her constituency. The Tabakit MP asserted that there is a high level of concern as the mosquito population has exploded despite it being quite early in the rainy season. She said that her office, as well as the Kuva Tabakit Alparo Regional Corporation, has received numerous requests for mosquito spraying, and a number of constituents have reported dengue cases in their families and communities. In fact, she says Tabakit has been described as the hotspot with respect to dengue cases. While the CTTRC's Insect Vector Control Divisions has embarked on a mosquito spraying exercise, MP Haynes-Allen maintains that the wider government response to this public health concern has been slow. She said that the CTTRC is responsible for a vast geographic area and maintained with only one fog machine available to the Karani district, support from central government is critical in the form of equipment, manpower, and data. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, initially sunny conditions will give way to partly cloudy skies by late morning, with occasional light to moderate showers occurring in varying localities. There is also a medium chance of a few heavy showers and or thunderstorms. Tonight will be settled with a few showers expected mainly after midnight. Please note that gusty winds and street or flash flooding are likely near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Landslides are also possible, especially in northeastern areas of Tobago and northern areas of Trinidad as a result of already saturated soils. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it's 27 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 28 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines at 7 o'clock, the Prime Minister laments the use of high-powered assault weapons. The Police Commissioner meets with the Police Welfare Association to discuss plans to reduce crime. South Business Chamber warns the impact of crime is far-reaching, and the Health Minister says there are 303 confirmed dengue cases nationally. I'm Avril Sindhilbab. That was News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for your major news. Of course, you can join Avril again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. Traffic-wise, just at Trinity City, the UE is your heavy spot this morning. And then getting into Port of Spain is a heavy spot. Chase Village as well. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Claxton Bay, as you pass through St. Margaret's Village, you've got some traffic there as well. All right. Let's see if we have any more votes coming in. Let's see. Desmond says yes. Augustine says no. Emmanuel in Fort Lauderdale says yes. And let's see. Right. And that's it. That's the few votes I have. Let's get the results of our morning poll.
All right, so our poll this morning was, should our laws be changed to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas in Trinidad and Tobago? We had 50 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. Of the 50 people, 40 of you said yes, 10 of you said no. So very clean in numbers. 40 said yes, 10 said no. Of course, the yeses have it by a vast majority in terms of the poll this morning. So they obviously believe that the law should be changed. I think Jamaica has that sort of system where they can call it.
Because wasn't that a contentious issue in 2011 when the People's Partnership called a state of, they said at the beginning of a limited state of emergency, and someone pointed out to them that can't be done here. You can't do a limited state of emergency here. Wasn't that part of that issue surrounding that?
That's why I crafted and
so.
said that the law should be changed, because I don't think it presently exists on the law books.
Yes, I remember that being an issue then.
Mm-hmm. The only concern I would have is it can be abused.
Well, every law is being abused right now by state officials.
And well, it can be abused. I would agree with it if you have a limitation in the amount of time it can stand, because the authorities need to have a timeline within which they want to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. If it's an intervention for an obsession crime, you understand?
Yep.
It can be a situation that could go on for 3 months, in other words, you know?
Yeah.
And I would also put into the law, if I were crafting it, that you cannot do it more than X amount of times a year.
Yeah.
It can be a run-to measure. You understand?
You're right.
Well, it was abused in 2011. Remember, 8,000 young men, mostly of African descent, were arrested, were detained for one reason or the other. We can't forget that. And people were saying, were reported to have said back then, just hold them, we go find the evidence after. I can't forget them thinking. I don't know why people feel that my memory is short, you know. And for the people who come, Roseborough, whoever have an issue with what I saying about local government, I've said it before, you know. Even whilst I was in local government, I've said it before. Those are the facts. Indisputable, or is it undisputable? Facts. Okay? And anything I don't remember, somebody just send me a message and let me know. And people have this way of listening to me sometimes and going back and telling people, I hear Wendell calling your name. No, tell them what they are calling the name about. What I actually say. I had to respond to Dr. Rowley one time and I sent the actual clip for him. Because people are on mischief a lot and on bacchanal. Wendell Siemens, not one. The only people I just be engaged in bacchanal with is these fellas here in the morning, and I just enjoy it. I just enjoy it.
All right, Dr. Tiwari will join us in a short. He's probably checking his link about now.
I saw Dr. Tiwari recently, boy. Was he on a flight with me or something? Somewhere in the airport I saw him recently. I think he might have been on a flight with me. But he's gotten, he looks shorter than normal because he's a short man. So we're waiting to get for our guest, Dr. Bo Tiwari, former Minister of, what was it, Economic Development or something, so?
Planning
and Economic Development. I think it was planning on the economy, something of that nature, you know. And we also have Dominic. Is Dominic? What was his name?
Ramon Gregorio.
Ramon Gregorio. Where I get Dominic from? Ramon Gregorio, the head of the Tunapuna Chamber.
All right. While we wait for Dr. Tiwari to come on, good morning, caller.
Someone tell me to ask a question. Do you have to pay when you register in a child in school?
No.
Oh Lord, the Ministry of Education entirely respond to that. No, you don't have to pay, but all these schools have these little organizations called PTAs that you contribute to assist the school. And if you
every month.
Yeah.
Every month is something.
So, but I'm paid $450 to register, then $100 or something, and then they have to pay money for sanitizer, toilet
They
have no
always had these little
registration
things.
fee.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a registration fee.
Okay.
But not in government schools anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All righty. Have a good
Yes.
one. Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
It seems as though the bank this only question little people when they win a little pick two, because the first time I won a pick two, the teller told me, imagine I got a check from NLCBA with just $8,000. And the teller told me she has to hold the check for 3 days. I said, what? And I had more money in my account than that check. Well, don't talk about when I win it for more. I think it was a pick two with a mega, and I played it for $10. Lord Jesus.
Give me two numbers today now, Ms. Henry. Give me two numbers for today now. You always talking about pick two. Give me two numbers today now.
And give me 6 now for 3.4 million.
But,
God, I got 4-4. Oh God, and 7-7. Lord,
ma'am, the bank is just
only one side I get in. Yes, this question.
The bank is just exercising due diligence. Remember, NLCB has other contractors, so they want to know where you get it from or for.
And the check mark NLCB, Paul. What the hell?
Yeah, but NLCB has contractors for services, so they're just making sure what you get it for, because not everybody.
They
Not
don't know if
everybody's
it's a
winning.
consultancy.
Yes, maybe you were a consultancy. They wanted to make sure.
Questioning me, and these people coming with the laundering money and the money.
Hey.
I didn't mind.
All right, thank you.
Once it going listen, I want to ask Richard something.
No.
When I didn't know the live sport matter was still going on, I thought after the opposition leader read it in court that gets out, I hear Dr. Rowley talking about some state witness and police went up to question that person. Richard, I didn't know that. I said that case dead.
It could be an ongoing investigation.
Although, you serious? Well, brother,
That's probably what it is. I'm not 100% sure.
Listen, there are two people to put in state place.
Do not call no name, please.
I hear again that threat. Let me tell you, you'll remember a guy named Hoi Pong? He was from Inland Revenue. I see they charged the assistant commissioner. Imagine that fraud inside there and all. Nah, man. All you really need to do some serious investigation. My father went through that with that Hoi Pong man, you know. I remember police coming here, sitting down in the gallery questioning my father, Lord Jesus. And what became of that guy, Hoi Pong? We never hear nothing. The man had golden taps, you name it, dog house. Look, this country in a mess. Yes, bring in the FBI. Gone.
You know, I'm wondering if I know that guy from Inland Revenue. Finbar Boland is his name. He's from Woodbrook. It was on the news last night. They didn't have a picture, strange enough, even though they said he was already charged. The news didn't carry a picture, but they carried his name and where he's from. You know?
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I want to start by asking Wendell a question. Wendell, did you participate in the Vision 2020 discussions?
Vision 2020. When you say participate, what do you mean? Because at local government level, Vision 2020 was. Go ahead.
From all over, including a lot of local government people.
I used to participate in a lot of those consultations until I stopped participating. I got fed up.
All right. Why I ask that, I find that the Association of Local Government Representatives is kind of the body that I thought would have been pushing for local government reform as a body. But I don't hear about them again, maybe because the politics kind of maybe has overtaken them to the extent that they don't really meet. I don't know. But to me, that was a pivotal institution to effect local government reform, because it is a body of representatives from all quarters with one objective. But somehow along the way, I think they have been derailed by the kind of politics. Now, I wonder why I asked about
they still exist, Talga still exists, But
I feel they do.
Yeah, but I could tell you the last few occasions I heard about Talga is when they're all traveling to somewhere. Because I don't know if you know these bodies get funding and they could travel.
Yeah,
That's the last I heard about Talga.
This is why, to me, the purpose should be to kind of lead the way in terms of local government reform. But, to me, that kind of fall off the radar. Apparently, that is not on the agenda. And that is why I asked you about Vision 2020. Because from my experience, that was a similar kind of, even that was to me, that was so revealing because it had participation from almost all quarters of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of forming a vision as to where the country should go, because people were actually seeing what they thought should be the future of a particular profession or area of operation, whether it was disaster management.
It was pretty extensive.
I think even the gentleman who we are about to interview was a main part of that Vision 2020 document.
Yeah, but the thing is that is really an attitude thing that kind of just disappear from the politics, and I don't know where we're going because we can't seem to meet on anything that is in the public interest.
Well, especially now,
democracy basically. Yeah, have a good day, gentlemen. I just thought.
But that Vision 2020 was pretty extensive because even there were meetings with practitioners. At least I know I attended one, and Raymond and myself attended one with Pat Bishop, and they were talking. They were even going into things like curriculum, and what should be on the curriculum with regards to theater and stuff like that. Even asked things like that. And so it was pretty in depth, and they asked your suggestions in terms of moving, the theater forward and stuff like that. So there were a lot, and we were just one section. I'm just saying, and so there were extensive discussions across Trinidad and Tobago with all manner of stakeholders, and it didn't matter about political affiliation. And so, hence, I was very disappointed when the People's Partnership came into power and they just did away with it and changed it to pillars.
No, Richard, hold up. They didn't just do away with it. On the political platform, the Vision 2020 document was torn up. It was torn up. They didn't just do away with it.
Yeah, and they just called it something else, pillars. They called it pillars of whatever. And I'm just saying, you wanted something that the entire country could unite behind in terms of a vision, regardless of political affiliation. You wanted to know this was the blueprint. Whoever is in power, just follow the blueprint to get us where we need to go in regard of.
But Richard and Wendell, the document was created by people from all walks of life and all political origins.
Yes, that's a fact.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Dr. Tiwari himself may have contributed to it.
That's what I just said. The gentleman we are about to interview was also part of that committee.
And the only reason it was probably not accepted because Mr. Manning presented it. But from my understanding, it was created by the thinkers and movers in different areas and professionals in different sectors to create this blueprint for Trinidad and Tobago. And here we are. It went to 30. It'll go to 40 just now, and then 60 and 70.
Oh, God, don't say that, man. Give people some optimism.
How is your mayor?
Don't care. Why all you mayor so?
Richard, Paul just basically tell you they're going to 80,
Why all you on the Arima mayor so?
Find a snarky way of telling you it's going to 80.
Arima is a very vibrant town / city, yeah?
Smart city.
Arima is a borough.
Soon to be the first smart city in Trinidad and Tobago.
Define soon.
Yeah, snarkiness now. Yeah, snarkiness in reverse.
Define soon.
That definition rests with the Ministry of Planning.
Under which minister?
The member of parliament for Arima, no less.
But it's a project in tandem with the IDB. So I think the IDB functionaries, when I discussed it some time ago, months ago, somebody who listened to this morning program sent me a link giving me an update about that smart city project. But it's still not.
What's the blog in the truth and make my own, yes?
Yeah, but it's poor. In what I will say, it's poor PR on the rollout of that smart city status and what it means for the burgesses of Arima. Very poor PR with regard to it. Because what you should be doing all now is saying this is what it will be. So you should get people excited about it to come on board in terms. You really have to get people invested and have buy-in into things like that. And there just seems to be a silence. I don't know if the silence is from IDB because they're not releasing funds yet. I don't know if it's from that. I don't know, because I assume it's partly funded by IDB, if not totally. But you just hear nothing. The mayor says nothing. The minister is saying nothing. There is no PR coming from anybody concerning it. And so it just remains, I know from some people on the ground, I ask questions, what's going on? And because they're building all sorts of stuff by the market and stuff. And of course, some people complaining to me like I'm the mayor and I'm not, that all of the contracts going to people from Shogunas.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm like, well, why are the only contracts going to people from Shogunas? And well, I don't want to say it on here, but that's a complaint that came to me. And I'm like, well, speak to the mayor. Or speak to me.
Oh. This Trinidad and Tobago, sometimes with its news and all these issues, wears me down, Because I've been to parts of London, parts of Europe already, where you stand up and you have all these devices all over that you could plug into and you could get Wi-Fi and you could know what's happening in that place. And I'm talking about years and years and years ago, not now,
Mm-hmm.
How different, and Arima was the perfect place to get that done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's manageable.
Mm-hmm. Say what? I saw Dr. Tiwari a while ago there. We just got a glimpse of him, didn't we?
He went off frame, so I took him off just so that he's not
I
caught.
thought he just saw somebody that he didn't want to speak to on that.
I don't want to catch him in the lecture flagrante.
I know what Richard is referring to. It can't be me.
It can't be me. Oh, check this out.
It could always be me.
Oh gosh, we have had so many experiences on that Power Breakfast show in that studio.
I write a book.
You could be right, Richard, because all of a sudden the screen going blank and he going.
Let me take out my camera and see if it's me.
Didn't help when
didn't help. Paul, take off yours and see if it's you. All right, that didn't work either. No, Richard, your turn. Come back on board.
I'm frightened now.
Richard, take off yours. All right, so it's not us.
Oh, but it's Steve.
It might be Steve.
It was
Steve.
It was Steve. It actually was Steve.
Oh, Lord.
Good morning, Dr. Tiwari.
All right, he's having internet problems, clearly.
Yeah, he's having internet problems.
Let me see if I can call him instead then.
He's having internet problems.
Yeah, try by the food.
Oh, if you don't enjoy this breakfast show, I don't know. I watch back episodes of the breakfast show and just laugh sometimes.
Dr. Tiwari, good morning. Oh, we're not hearing you. You're muted or something.
He's definitely having internet buffering issues.
I think you're muted. Nope, not
muted.
hearing you.
Message him now and tell him he's muted.
Yeah, not hearing you.
Do you prefer us to call you, Dr.
Yeah, I think I'm going to call you, Dr. Tiwari.
We're going to call you on the phone. We're going to call you on the phone.
You sound like you're talking to your mayor there.
And they're about the same age.
You know, I don't know how to break this to both of you all, but you all know that you all are broadcasting in all forms of media that people can replay.
Yeah.
And say, oh, you didn't believe what they said? Let me show you.
Well, that's what I want done, because a lot of people the other day Shaka say, "Oh, I hear you calling up my name on the radio." No, it comes across negative. Eh? I say, "But did you hear what I said?" The person didn't tell you what I said. No, but they say they hear my name calling. I say, "Well, just go back and watch your show." I say, "I can never bad talk you." I say, "I can never say anything negative about you." I tell people they could watch back all these episodes, and check for themselves, You know.
You must tell everybody that.
I tell everybody that.
No, but some people they don't hear what we say, they just hear we say.
All right, Dr. Tiwari is online via telephone. Good morning, Dr. Tiwari.
Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, we had some issues, so.
All right, okay.
Yeah, we have Richard Paul Wendell.
Good morning, Dr. Tiwari. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Tiwari.
Morning. Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Tiwari.
Morning to you and to all of your listeners.
All right. Let's start with your opening thoughts on the attempts to deal with the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago, and what your thoughts are there.
Well, the numbers tell you that we have not been successful at anything that we have done, because the murders have simply escalated year after year. All the attempts at containment by the law enforcement authorities have not really contained or curbed the crime. The number of gangs have grown, the power of the gangs have increased, the extent of fear in the society has escalated. The calculation of risk has become one in which anybody can be a target. People feel that anybody can be a target. And therefore, it really is not good. And if you have a society in which the law enforcement authorities cannot exert any control or containment of crime, and the political directorate is unable to give comfort on crime, then you have a serious problem.
How much responsibility do you put on the political directorate? The political directorate generally designs policy and gives resources, and it is primarily the TTPS. In some instances, the army is brought in to support the police. But how much emphasis do you place in the political directorate to this situation, if at all?
Well, I mean, why do people form political parties and aspire to political office? And why does the electorate vote? The electorate votes for a political party and puts that party in office in order to govern. And to be fair, I think every political party that has been in office have failed on the issue of crime. They have not really been able to contain and curb it. But the second thing too is that the authorities that have to do with law enforcement and the management of crime in the system, law and order in the system, are under the directorate, political directorate in our system. We have ministers in charge of these. You have a minister of national security. You have an attorney general. You have ministers of legal affairs. All right. You have separation of powers, as you well know, between the executive, the parliament, the judiciary. And it seems that none of these institutions are able to harmoniously and collaboratively contribute to a reduction in crime and a reduction in fear.
So what is it? Because Dr. Tiwari, you said earlier that all political parties have failed in terms of dealing with this issue of crime. So, and we have some of the best minds in the Caribbean, I would want to say. What is it that political parties and state machinery is doing wrong in terms of dealing with the issue of criminality in a small country of just 1.4 million people?
I think the system has been compromised, and it has been badly compromised. I think that there is some collaboration and collusion between legitimate business and gangsterism, so that there's a connection there between illegality and a legal status. That is one thing. I think that the customs system has been compromised, and that has to do with the flow of guns. It has to do with various things. I think that the law enforcement system, let's say the Coast Guard, I went down the islands the other day and I saw all these ships lined up in Stobles Bay, and none of them move out. They do not patrol the ocean, right? I mean, it's almost like the Coast Guard afraid the sea and can't swim. And, the whole system has been compromised. I mean, if you have a society in which the people who have a job, a responsibility, and a function are not carrying out those functions, are not doing their job, are not alert to their responsibilities and willing to execute, you have a problem. So the entire system is in disarray, and it is compromised by corruption, by lack of responsibility, and other things that, that we might go into. But I mean, I think we have a serious problem here. And as you say, it's a small society, 1.4 million people, about 2,000 square miles, not a big place. And I feel that if we want to deal with it, we could deal with it. But I think there's also another level of compromise, which is at a level of the political directorate. And this does not matter which government, which party is in power. I think that gang leaders have understood the importance of playing a political role because they become community leaders of a certain kind. And I think that, all these gang leaders live in constituencies, right? Every constituency has a representative. And the representatives of the constituency must know where criminal activity takes place or who criminals are. So too the police stations in those areas. All right? And over years, this thing has just been allowed to continue and fester and grow. And now it's at the point where you can't do anything because they just bite back. And the thing is compromised to the extent that, if you live in a constituency and you are a representative of the constituency and you have relatives living in that constituency, you have to be careful how you manage your relations with these gang leaders, because you make people that you care about vulnerable, including the rest of the community, and some might be your family. So I think it's all of those things. I think we also have a problem at the level of the magistracy and so on, because on the prison system, because people know where the prison officers live, they know where the magistrates live, all of these things. So what has happened is that we have allowed this thing to escalate so badly that it is now so intertwined that we are, in fact, even when we have jurisdiction and authority and power, it is very difficult to act, because action may lead to consequences for you. And as a consequence, we have no action and therefore no consequence for the criminal element.
Dr. Tiwari, what you're suggesting, because you said several consecutive administrations have failed. No matter who is in power, we failed. You've identified that Police have been infiltrated, Coast Guard infiltrated, business infiltrated, although they like to say differently. Is this beyond us as a country?
Is the what?
Is this beyond us? Do we need international help to deal with this? Or does the capability to resolve these issues reside in the country?
We need international help. There's no question in my mind. I mean, the Prime Minister, I think he has been on spot in trying to get help from the United States to curb the flow of guns from the U.S. here. But I think people know now that guns also come here from Venezuela, maybe from other places as well, but they come here as well from there. And what that means is that you have to close your borders in a certain way, or at least have honest people in charge.
But what you're saying, Dr. Tiwari, is that while I understand international assistance and collaboration is always necessary, what you seem to be suggesting and what seems to be what is happening is that we are incapable of managing our borders and our ports of entry to the point where we can identify and bring contraband, persons who bring contraband, including illegal drugs and guns, into the country. Is that what you're saying, that we are incapable of managing customs to the point where we can stop the corruption in customs?
I don't think that we are incapable. All right. I think every country is capable of managing their affairs. But I think the compromising has been so deep and so long and so endemic that it's very, very difficult to address the situation in a situation in which democracy means who will vote for you. And the political calculation is always what do you do and how does it affect your political fortune? And really, we have become prisoners of the political system here, the party system, all of these things. You know, I am sorry to be speaking about this thing, about my own country in this way. But the reality tells us that that is what is happening. There is no way that guns could come in through the sea if the Coast Guard were on the alert. There is no way that guns could come through customs if the customs were alert or if they were absolutely honest. There is no way that the gangs could operate with impunity unless there was political protection. There is no way that the gangs could operate with impunity if the police were totally on top of things. I mean, let's face it, we have to deal with the reality. I am not saying it is anybody's fault now, but it is a reality that we must face. If we don't face reality, you can't solve the problem.
But Dr. Tiwari, you would have spent time as a senior cabinet minister in a government, yes, and you would have also been a member of parliament of an area, of a constituency. So you understand the challenges that you would have faced personally back then. But how do we fix it now? Because we're hearing about all these problems, right? Clearly, your government and this government didn't fix it. How do we fix it now?
Well, I think it has to be a national effort. And I think we need to appreciate the fact, you know, there was a situation in God, what's the name of the country? El Salvador, in which the prime minister there basically decided enough was enough because the drug dealers and they were making alliances with criminal gangs inside the country. And they took a hard line, right? Which is that they got the military and the police to operate in a certain way, almost free of the constraints and restraints of laws in order to do certain things. Now, there is no question in my mind that there would have been several human rights violations. And a lot of innocent or marginally criminal elements would have been washed into the prison system by what they did. Maybe we don't need to go so far, but I do think that the political directorate, and that means government and opposition, all right, because they control the parliament. I think the judiciary has to be part of that. I think all the forces have to be part of that, the customs, the immigration, the Coast Guard, the military, the police. All of these elements basically have to take a hard line against crime and not worry about the political, that is to say, the partisan political consequences. Now, if you did that and you were able to bring the situation under some measure of control, you could then deal with it institution by institution to restore some semblance of law and order in this society. But you have to take control first. When you're playing football and the ball, that's just a soccer, the ball comes to you, you first have to trap the ball, possess the ball, get control of the ball, and then you can either pass the ball or shoot or set up a play in a certain way. And we are at that point. We have to trap the ball. We have to be able to do that, and you cannot do it by the political directorate cannot do it alone. The police cannot do it alone. We have to have a concerted effort to do this thing. The thing is beyond reasonable. You can't use reasonable management systems in this situation. You have to take a strong stand. You know, ever since I was in government, I remember the then deputy commissioner in charge of crime talking about the fact that we had 200 gangs in Trinidad and Tobago and saying how they know where all of them is. When you ask them, well, why you can't do nothing about it? They tell you there's a difference between intelligence and evidence. And they then begin to make a set of issues. They're showing you all kind of videos about the gangs in operation, how they behave, how they dress, how they are gold chain, all kind of things. But when you ask them the hard question, why can't you arrest these people? Why can't you charge these people? Why can't you contain these people? There is silence. And this notion about intelligence versus evidence is another matter. If you know that the problem is the gap between intelligence and evidence, then you find a way to bridge that gap. But, you know, I mean, this thing takes mind work. It takes basically practical work in the communities. And once you deal with the gangs, you also have to deal with the social problems in the society. The secondary school system is a feeder system to gang recruitment. I mean, that has been established as a fact. So it's a multifaceted, multi-pronged approach that has to be non-partisan, non-political in the partisan sense. And that has to be a dedicated commitment to Trinidad and Tobago and its future. And what is the objective? The objective is to curb and contain the gangs and bring them under control, to restore the communities. Secondly, to protect the school system and the youth. All right? And fourthly, to strengthen the family system such as it exists in Trinidad and Tobago by creating the conditions for jobs and incomes and sustainability. So it is a broad-based strategy that needs to be used. I do not wish to be a complainer about this thing. I want to be a solution provider.
Dr. Tiwari, put a pause. We're going to have to leave it there for now. We're going to have you back to talk about the economic impact of crime and the way forward. But thank you for your contribution this morning.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Let's thank Ramon Gregorio for standing by. He's the president of the Tunapuna Business Chamber. Mr. Gregorio, good morning. Thank you for joining us and thank you for holding.
Yeah, no problem. Good morning, gentlemen. And good morning to your listeners.
All right. You seem to be the shining example of the ability of government and private sector to collaborate with the CCTV camera security initiative. And because of that, I'm presuming they were able to also identify rogue camera elements on light poles in the area. You have any update on that you can share with us?
Well, since the last reports, we have a very active station council in Tunapuna, and we appreciate the fact that Tunapuna has come under the limelight, the spotlight. Persons have identified some of the work that we've been doing there. One of the things that I think makes Tunapuna a bit different is that we have a very active station council headed by President Ragoobarsingh, and it's very active in the community with civil society as well as police and business in conjunction. As it relates to the camera incidents, police have been monitoring actively since those have been detected in the St. Joseph and some of the areas around Tunapuna. They have in fact been identified and dismantled. And it's a continuous process of monitoring, because obviously the criminal element doesn't sit and wait and say, okay, we got you now, we'll come back at this appointed date. No.
To your knowledge, has anyone been apprehended or identified as the source of that?
Not to our knowledge at this point in time, but obviously there's a limit in terms of the type of information that we have access to, obviously being not police officers or being members of the security forces. Those investigations are ongoing.
Is it that the cameras were installed by someone in the business community, Mr. Gregorio?
No, it seems to have been rogue elements, and from the reports that have been since confirmed, the rogue elements who have been monitoring activity independent of the official cameras have been put up by whether it's the TTPS or even via our Citizens Alliance network. So it is the rogue element monitoring activity, which in itself is a bigger development than just putting up random cameras around the place.
So would you be able to say then with confidence that you have no rogue elements within the business community of Tunapuna?
Well, I mean, from where I sit as a chamber president, and Tunapuna business is for registered businesses that are interested in the camaraderie of having a business network represent their interests on a national level. No. In the wider Tunapuna business community, of course, and like many other communities throughout the country, you have those elements that some persons are in it intentionally, some persons have been coerced, because we have heard about the extortion and some of the challenges with extortion throughout the country. So to point a finger and simply say that they are rogue elements, I think rogue elements exist throughout the country. It's not just something that's specific to our area.
So you don't think the Tunapuna Business Chamber could have been infiltrated by anyone with such desires?
Not to my knowledge, and I would stand here very confidently and say not under my watch. In particular, in Tunapuna, we have a very rigorous system in terms of how we onboard members. We go through a very detailed investigation process where we look at all the different business documents, how they're compliant. So we look at a number of different areas before you just come into Tunapuna Chamber. So you don't simply walk off the street and say, I want to be a member of the chamber. While we do encourage smaller businesses that don't in fact have their registration documents and sometimes may not be up to par, we still do a certain level of scrutiny to ensure that we have the very best of businesses coming into our ambit. However, speaking to persons who may be involved in activity while they're in the chamber, that is not something that has come to our attention, or is a challenge that we grapple with.
Have you had any information from the police as to how successful this collaboration has been? Has this collaboration, the Tunapuna Business Alliance Citizens Project, been able to see a decrease in the crime rate in particular on businesses in Tunapuna?
Well, as a matter of fact, I had a conversation with President Ragoobarsingh just yesterday, just before I came on, just to get an update on the stats. And what we have seen, it has exploded, simply put. the Citizens Alliance Network, the camera infrastructure had initially started just for businesses alone. But what has happened now is that it has branched off into residential areas, obviously because of the increase in crimes. And the station council model that we have evolved in Tunapuna has now expanded into a range of different divisions. So which I think is a fantastic testimony to the type of work that's going on in Tunapuna and the experiences that we can now share with the rest of the national community. So we have had recent instances where there have been snatch and grabs, for example, in the Tunapuna area, at the Tunapuna market, where we have a certain complement of cameras located there. And that has led to the police being able to identify, to prosecute. Hasn't reached the stage of persons being incarcerated. I'm not too confirmed on that yet, but the characters were picked up in short course. So from a short-term perspective, yeah, I would say that we're definitely seeing fantastic success. Of course, it's funded by members of the business community in the Tunapuna area. For now on, it's a model that we're rolling out. As a matter of fact, the Prime Minister, in his conversation with the Prime Minister session in Tunapuna, had indicated that it's a model that he intends to, and he hopes that could be rolled out across the country over the next few months, simply because we have seen the success, we have a model, we know what some of the learning curves are, and it has now spanned into having stakeholder consultations, having neighborhood group watch groups being formed and being manned and being guided by our station council. So there have been a lot of spin-off activity that for something that has started as a business initiative that has now rolled out into the wider residential.
Have other business chambers or other areas contacted you for information on how this has evolved into Tunapuna? Because we spoke to Kiran Singh yesterday of the San Fernando Business Chamber, and he said that their process has been, and I'm paraphrasing here, filled with bureaucracy, and it's not advancing. I got the impression it wasn't advancing as efficiently as he thought it should.
Is it via our network or his general?
I'm asking if you've had collaborations with like other business chambers who've sought your expertise on how you were able to do this.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, San Fernando, Kiran and I, we collaborate quite a lot. And that is one of the things in the pipeline for the San Fernando community. Certainly Sangre Grande has reached out to us. Some of the neighboring chambers have reached out. But because the focus now has shifted, and I shouldn't say shifted, but because the focus has now gone to residential, it has sort of expanded a little wider and faster than we expected. Obviously, a direct correlation to the spike and increase in crime. So yes, in fact, a lot of business and residential communities and associations have in fact reached out to us over the last few months.
When you say it has expanded to residential areas, etc., is it that those residential cameras that are installed by homeowners or homeowner groups are feeding into the monitoring station at the Tunapuna police station, or is it just an upsurge of cameras generally that people will have their own DVRs for?
Very good question, Richard. So initially, how the system had started was that it was supposed to have been a camera view set up by the Citizens Alliance Network that is tied into the command center at different police stations. And one person would have had a fob in the business, for example, and if there was a perpetrator were to enter the premises, not only would you be able to alert the police with a silent fob, the police could actually pinpoint, because of the camera system at the particular command center, where the perpetrators are, if they have left, and what trajectory they would have gone on after leaving your premises. What has since happened is that because it has spilled over into the residential area now, and because we have been setting up, so it's not the person's cameras, it's independent cameras that have been set up at strategic locations in the neighborhood, and they have now been outfitted with strobe lights and alarms, for example, for the residential community. So the technology itself is adding cameras to the current infrastructure, all with the purpose of course, being able to identify perpetrators, one, but being able to have a holistic view of a community if such perpetrators were to enter the environment.
Oh, okay. So who funds that? Is it that the residents funded that?
Yes. So it's funded by the residents, it's funded by the businesses in the business scenario, and it's at a minimal cost of $100 per camera. The beauty of the model is that, of course, with economies of scale, once you have a wider group of persons participating in the exercise, the costs are spread across, the risk is spread across a wider group of persons. And it is maintained by a private network, the Citizens Alliance network, as opposed to being maintained by any other body. So it's maintained by a private body. So essentially what you're paying for is to make sure it's up and running on a monthly basis.
Mr. Gregorio, I know that we're running out of time, but do you have any data to support any changes that have happened as a result of this initiative?
Well, not at this current time, but because it's quite new, we're in the process of compiling data, and we're in the process of getting feedback, of course, conducting surveys. That is something in the pipeline. Conduct surveys among the residents, conduct surveys among the businesses. But it's early days yet. So what we have to go on right now is some of the anecdotal verbatim data that we've gotten from businesses in terms of how they feel, the sense of safety. And talking to President Ragoobarsingh, for example, in the last day or two, he had indicated now that because of the presence of some of these cameras, for example, you find persons migrating to other areas because that are unserviced by the system. So very anecdotal at this point in time, very off-the-cuff sort of citizen feedback and reaction, but it has been a positive one thus far, until we could scientifically confirm that with some sort of data analysis.
Okay. Is the interaction or interconnectivity, I should say, with the police monitoring business community and residential community of the cameras highly technical?
Well, you're talking to a slightly non-technical camera person here. But what I would say is that the Citizens Alliance has been, the police officers who man the operations are trained, very well trained. I've seen the operations center in action, and I mean, it's quite a work of art in terms of the ability to pick up such a wide expanse of areas. So the persons manning the operations center, the technical persons, they have in fact been trained and continue to be trained. As it rolls out across the various districts, what you'll find is that that level of training will step up and improve alongside with the technology being used.
Yeah. You know what I was wondering? I know we have to end now, and maybe we can have you back, Mr. Gregorio. The issue of facial recognition, and I'm not so sure what the legal basis is in Trinidad, or if it's even thought about in a Trinidad and Tobago legislative perspective. It may not have been, but the issue that there are certain identified persons that the police are always looking for, persons of interest.
Right.
And the more expansive your network, if it has facial recognition and it's being monitored, of course, by the police, it means it's an added layer of security in terms of looking out for key persons that the police are interested in certain communities, etc. But I'm not so sure about the legality of it and whether it's permissible in a Trinidad and Tobago context from a legislative point of view. But I don't know if enhancing the software in that kind of way is something that is being considered.
Yeah, I think definitely that's a conversation not too far down the road. And quite rightly, Richard, in terms of the legislative aspect of it. No, we have AI and some of the face altering software and stuff that someone could easily claim as defense. That is not me. That's a face they use and they pull from somewhere because they have information on me. So I think it's something that definitely has to be well thought out. But I think it's not very far down the road for that type of technology to be integrated into the current system that we're using.
All right.
Ramon, thanks for being with us. So apologies again for the delayed interaction with you, but we really want to start having more regular conversations with you about how you've been able to progress the situation, and congratulations on the work where that is concerned.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the panel and all your viewers. I hope we enlightened you about what's going on in Tunapuna.
Well, we have to put an X by Tunapuna and an X by San Fernando so far. No criminal elements within their chambers.
Wow.
We're on Congress now. Manchagonas. Gotta check these other chambers, Paul.
You'll have a great day.
The problem in there and the problem in San Fernando.
Yeah. So have a fantastic day, whatever you do. And remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. I just wanted to mention one thing, though. I mean, I don't know if you all know this, but playing lawn tennis is really good for your health, especially as you're getting older. I'm watching you, Steve, Wendell, and Paul. As you get older, lawn tennis is one of the best games you can play. And there is a lawn tennis summer camp happening in Arima. And I think people should take advantage of it.
With the M. Edwards brothers, Elvin and Kurt.
No, the boys.
Okay. All right.
Watch Edwards Brothers. Boys. It's called the Boys Tennis Academy. And it's really, I think it's really something. But anyway, it's 322-9123. 322-9123. I'm thinking of joining because it's really good fare. I mean, I'm not your ages yet, but it's better to start in advance, you know.
You know that lawn tennis involves running, right?
Yes, I'm
okay.
afraid of
All
running.
right. I just wanted to make sure you know.
I'm not afraid of running.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm moving from one point
you
to the other.
running or what?
The ball will come at you. You said you had to go at the ball.
I'm not afraid of running. You afraid of running? All you do is
be safe.
I hear all you do is walk briskly.
I'm not too sure brisk comes in there. I know he's walk, but me too sure about the brisk.
Oh, you know it's 8:05, right? Okay.
Oh, good. Folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. Friday, please, God.
Yeah,
all right, gentlemen. Start with you all on Friday. Let's get into our news brief aviation.